Bomb Iran. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb Iran. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb Iran. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Bomb Iran. Bomb, bomb, bomb.
President Bush has talked about our staying in Iraq for 50 years.
Maybe 100. Maybe 100. Maybe 100. I'm sorry to tell you, there's going to be other wars. Other wars.
Crazy American neocons, like deceased John McCain, always advocate for war. The United States government has wanted to topple the government of Iran since its 1979 revolution that ousted its pro-American puppet dictator called the Shah. Ongoing efforts to create an internal color revolution repeatedly fail. American warmongers say that war with Iran is inevitable, since it refuses to bow down to the American empire. McCain said that American troops may remain in Iraq 100 years. Thousands of American combat troops remain in Iraq today, 22 years after the unprovoked American invasion. They quietly control Iraq as a colony, as all its oil revenues are deposited into the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. American viceroys decide where this money is spent in Iraq after subtracting vague management fees. See the tale linked in the description. The presence of 12,000 American troops and contractors in Iraq inadvertently served to prevent an American attack on Iran. The government of Iraq is pro-Iranian and has asked the Americans to leave several times. Iran-allied Shia militias in Iraq are larger than the Iraqi army and sometimes rocket American bases. An American attack on Iran could result in all these Americans taken prisoner. The withdrawal of American occupiers could signal a coming American attack on Iran, but would also result in the independence of Iraq. Some Americans think the United States can invade and conquer Iran, just like Iraq. But Iran has twice the population of Iraq, is 3 times larger, very mountainous, and its capital, of Tehran, is in the far north. In 2003, Iraq had suffered from a recent major war with Iran and a year-long international trade embargo. Iran today is economically strong, has good relations with its neighbors, and strong ties to Russia and China. Iran has also accumulated a massive missile inventory. This includes long-range advanced missiles that recently proved capable of hitting precise targets in Israel. Iran has thousands of short-range missiles that can blast targets around the Persian Gulf, and precision missiles and drones that can easily overwhelm American missile defenses in the region. This past year, the U.S. Navy and Israel battled the Houthis of Yemen, who attempted to blockade the Red Sea to show support for Palestinians. This effort mostly failed, and Iran has 10 times more missiles than the Houthis. Iran can also shut down the world economy. The Strait of Hormuz is the world's single most important oil passageway. The strait is the only route to the open ocean for over 1/6 of global oil production. Iran has fortified its nearby islands and mountains with gun emplacements and missile launchers that would require an amphibious landing larger than Iwo Jima to clear. Iran also has hundreds of sea mines that it can dump in the strait. The strait is 22 miles across, but the deep channel lane needed by huge tankers is very narrow and can easily be blocked by mines or a sunk ship. The U.S. Navy can't clear sea mines either, because it hasn't built minesweeper ships for decades. Mine warfare is of no interest to American admirals focused on future great sea battles. The U.S. Navy only has 8 old minesweeping ships left, with 4 scheduled for decommissioning in 2025 and its last 4 in 2027. No replacements are planned. The Navy's huge minesweeping helicopters are nearing 40 years old, and retirements began this year with no replacements planned. As Europe desired cleaner energy, liquefied natural gas, LNG, became popular. There is a lot of natural gas in the Persian Gulf, but no pipeline to Europe. So it is super chilled into a liquid and sent by ship. 1/3 of the world's LNG is shipped through the Strait of Hormuz, and much more is planned as Russian sources are banned. A war on Iran would not only halt this shipping, but the expensive LNG facilities in the Persian Gulf are filled with very explosive natural gas that can be easily destroyed. Because Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, pipelines have been built so that some oil and gas can be exported without using the strait. These pipelines provide valuable energy to the world, but originate near Iran and are well known. These pipelines can easily be destroyed by Iranian missiles or by local militias or Iranian commandos. As a result, no Arab states support a war on Iran, since they would be destroyed economically and suffer from major missile attacks. The United States had long demonized Iran and had convinced some Arab states the Persians were a danger who must be destroyed. But Iran never attacked, and in March 2023, China convinced the Arab world that Iran was no threat, and diplomatic and trade relations were restored.
Iran and Saudi Arabia have agreed to re-establish diplomatic relations after 7 years. They'll also activate cooperation deals and hold talks on how to further strengthen their ties. The announcement came after discussions in China, and both sides have been quoted praising Beijing's role in the process. The countries have had no formal ties since 2016, when Riyadh's embassy in Tehran was attacked following the Saudi execution of a Shia cleric. Saudi Arabia has traditionally been close to the United States, whose ties with both Iran and China have been strained.
As a result, no Arab state will allow the U.S. military to use its bases for a war on Iran. The U.S. military may ignore them, but that is risky, and Iranian missiles can bombard these bases and put them out of action while killing hundreds of Americans. Most of the American military bases in the region are within the Persian Gulf, so they will be cut off from supplies if the Strait of Hormuz is closed. The U.S. Navy will fear approaching Iran due to the missile threat and will face logistics problems since its main base in the region is at Bahrain, inside the Persian Gulf. The closest major U.S. Navy base to support operations in the Indian Ocean is at distant Guam. Some warmongers pretend that a war on Iran is not required if we just take out its nuclear facilities. Americans assume that only select nations can legally build and stockpile nuclear weapons. They cite the 1970 Treaty on Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, commonly known as the NPT. This is an international treaty to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons, to promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of nuclear energy, and to achieve worldwide nuclear disarmament. This treaty means that Iran and the United States should not have nuclear weapons. Nearly every nation in the world signed the NPT because it promised to eliminate nuclear weapons worldwide. The core purpose of the NPT is to eliminate nuclear arms, not to perpetuate the nuclear monopoly of a few countries. Given the massive violations of the NPT by the United States and its constant threats, it's amazing that Iran has not formally quit the NPT and built nukes. North Korea did this several years ago, and American threats of offensive action ended. Iran has the equipment to fully enrich uranium to build nuclear warheads, and may have done so. Iran is a vast nation, and there is no way the United States knows where all its nuclear facilities and missile warheads are located. Perhaps Pakistan has given Iran nukes, or maybe Russia or China. Or perhaps they've quietly warned that a nuclear strike on Iran would result in a nuclear response by their forces. A major military attack on Iran will cause an immediate halt to shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, even if Iran does nothing. Ship crews will refuse to sail into a war zone, and ship owners and their insurers will not allow them to sail until the violence ends. If Iran unleashes a strong military response, American bases in the region will be blasted and thousands of Americans will be killed or captured. Revolts may occur in Arab states as American-backed dictators are ousted and American bases overrun. The world economy will close down, and a Chinese peacekeeping fleet may arrive to resolve the problem. A war on Iran is foolish, as it would cause a worldwide economic depression and massive diplomatic blowback for the United States, as it is forced to close its military bases in the region.